The Bothy Storytelling Podcast is a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Welcome to the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. I'm your host, Calumlykan. And today's episode, well, it has a great episode in mind. I had an episode about beer. I mean, who doesn't like an episode about beer? But that's changed. That's now changed. Drama has kicked off in the world. So this is going to be about drama and why there is always drama, but not in the good way. But before we get into it, let's have a word from one of our sponsors. And this is the Arts and Culture branch at the ATB. They are aware that creative minds need creative banking. That's why ATB created the branch for Arts and Culture. A branch that understands artists don't live by the rules or standard pay schedules. So you can be creative and not have to worry about your checking account. It's a creative space for creative types, and just one more way, ATB will always be more than a bank. That's the ATB Arts and Culture branch. Drama everywhere. Why all the drama? Well, you know what? It's kind of weird because I've mentioned before that I do various society groups, living history groups, etc. And I know a lot of them. And one of the continuing factors that I'm discovering these days is there's so much damn drama in them. I mean, it's a hobby, but yet, God, drama everywhere. I mean, the amount of groups that I've actually heard in the last 6 months to a year, let's just say, that I've actually separated. But then even better, those groups have separated. It's like nobody can play well together anymore. It's just the weirdest thing ever. I mean, I've met a lot of these guys that do them. And as I say, I'm part of a few societies as well. And I love doing this stuff. You know what? When you're actually doing the events, it's great. You're in an outfit, a living history period outfit. You've got your campsite there. You're doing your combat. You're doing your living history crafts. Absolutely amazing. But for some reason, as soon as that tiny, and I mean, okay, let's be honest. When you're doing living history or any of these societies, and I'm talking about music, anything, these sort of groups that are formed, the actual performance and main event is the tiniest wee fraction. Let's just say out of 100% scale, because that apparently is quite a common one to use, you're probably looking at about 20% of it is the actual performance. It's like what I do every day. It's like everyone thinks, the self-employed performer's life, it must be so exciting. And it's like, hey guys, I'm sitting in a studio talking to you. Okay? Let's be realistic. Most of my time is in this studio doing admin or recording. I do live performances. Tomorrow I'm out at school, but they're a tiny fraction of what we do. Don't know if you can hear, but there's a very whiny cat outside this studio. Una is, she's a little bit upset ever since we moved upstairs. She's still not quite got used to it, and she likes to be incredibly vocal to express the fact that she is one pissed off little kitty. What it does mean, though, is every time I'm in my studio, I have this incessant meowing going on behind me. See, drama. She's even creating drama. It is everywhere. Now, before I go any further with this, I need to express something. I am a drama queen, okay? I am fully aware I am the biggest drama queen. What was it? Someone once called me, what was it? A theatre dam or a grand dam or something. I can't remember what it was. I'll tell you, it made me spit out my beer at the time. I am the biggest drama queen this planet, probably. No, I'm not going to make that claim. There's probably worse. But you know what? I just can't avoid drama, and I get embroiled in it because I find it fascinating. But the problem is, I think it's the storyteller's mind. As soon as drama comes, or any situation in life, my head goes into overdrive, painting about 50,000 scenarios, bleak and positive and death-defying and basically supernova. It's all just there. My head cannot control itself. It just goes into overdrive, and all of a sudden, all hell's broken loose in my head. And I'm talking like, things are going wrong. It's the end of the world. It's never going to work. How dare they betray us? It's like Game of Thrones. And with that in mind, let's get back to the subject in hand. Game of Thrones is a great example to use. You see, every society or group I've ever been involved with ends up in a Game of Thrones scenario. There is heads chopped. There's no dragons. I'm sorry about that. There's no dragons. But there's all this drama and chaos. I know a lot of the reenactment groups throughout even Calgary and Alberta, they've had split upon split upon split, and it goes down to this. People join, they get together, they love what they're doing. And then other people join, and they disagree with what that first group's doing. But they kind of play along because they want to be a part of it. But then again, they get really frustrated and they decide, no, enough's enough, and they separate and do their own thing. Perfectly allowed. That is allowed. Because you know what? Not every group or society is going to work for you. I get frustrated sometimes at the slowness and the pace and the way things are done, particularly over here. Oh my God, the UK was great for it. Someone pisses you off, you just cut their head off. I mean, not physically, but it's like, no, sorry. Away you go, get out of here. But over here, it's a bit more dignified. The Canadians are very much polite about these things, and they really do focus on diplomacy. I think that's how, the whole thing has been, even with their military in the past, looking at their history. They're all about kind of diplomacy. The Scots are more about rage. And basically, if it's there, just deal with it. And basically, I would say the Scots are kind of like the equivalent of the Hulk in the Marvel universe. And I don't mean we're super strong and green. I just mean we're a rage. I mean, I know my anger is, it's something, if I lose my shit, I lose my shit. And then it's like gone. That's the best bit. It's like this really crazy kind of like mad, angry rant. I did it today with someone and I feel so ashamed because it's just me. But it's like this crazy mad rant. And then it's like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. We're good at apologising as well as Scots, we know when we've done wrong and, oh my God, I lost my shit. And then it was just like, yeah, sorry. Totally had a bit of a rage issue there. It's hilarious in its own mind, but it's also really bad. But anyway, over in Canada, when they're dealing with societies, they definitely deal with things a bit more politely. I've seen a lot of splits this year with the medieval guys, the knights, the fighting and combat guys. And, you see it through every society. And it comes down to that. There's 2 or 3 different ways. As I said, the one is the amicable. You know what, guys? I don't like what you're doing. I'm going to go and do my own thing. Perfect. Then you get the idiots who are there for power. They think that the power is all that it is. And I've encountered a couple of these people throughout my time, even in Canada. All they're doing is craving power. They want the title and the power, but when they get there, they don't know what to do with it because all they want is that prestige and they think that's all that matters. And what they're actually forgetting, and here is the golden rule that even Calumlykan forgets sometimes. It's a hobby. Yep, there you go, folks. You're an accountant. You're a retail manager, you're a oil worker, you're a taxi driver, you're a storyteller. You're not actually a Viking or a knight. You're not actually a wizard or it's like, guys, it's a hobby at the end of the day. And I'm the worst for that because I said I think my head's slightly broken as a storyteller. I think there's a definite rift there with reality. And I think that's one of the problems with some storytellers. Although I know everything, I'm very cognitive. Don't worry, I'm not a loony bin. You don't need to. I'm in a padded room, admittedly. Oh, look at that! I'm in a padded room. Maybe this is it. Maybe I'm actually. No, let's not go there. But basically, yeah. As a storyteller, I think there's a certain disassociation with reality that we have. But even me, I'm sensible enough to know. Guys, it's a hobby. I might dress as a Viking occasionally and go out and play with swords, but hey, I know doing that in the high street or going into a bar is not good, says the man that dressed as a pirate for 5 years and walked about with weapons. Let's just step away from this. This is maybe the worst subject matter I've ever taken on. But the reality is it's a hobby. It's fun. but there's always so much drama in these groups. So if you're ever going to enter one of these historical societies or a band or something like, like a big association group, just heed this warning. There's always going to be lovely people. You're going to make great friends. But to counter that, there's always going to be some bloody idiot in there that is either going to be there just to stir it up or is after all the power and refuses to basically budge until they get that power. And when they get that power, they don't know what to do with it, and it all comes crumbling down. I believe it was, I may be misquoting, but it's Uncle Ben, it may not have been, who said that with great responsibility, or with great power comes great responsibility. Got that the wrong way round. What was it? With great power comes great responsibility. Of course, it's always attributed to Uncle Ben, but we know it's the late, great Stan Lee that penned, I believe, that phrase. The legendary man. This is becoming kind of Marvel crossover here. So anyway, spoilers for Captain Marvel. No. But yeah, drama is like a huge thing. I mean, it's in every walk of life. We know this, guys. It exists, but sometimes it's just so unnecessary. And then sometimes it is necessary, I'm afraid to say. Sometimes you just need to lose it. Sometimes you need to become so angry, so frustrated, so annoyed at what's happening, because sometimes it is unjust. I have heard a few things with societies this year, which even I thought, even though I wasn't a part of them, I'm like, that's really unfair what's happening there. The guys that have done this, and by guys, I'm using a generic term for humans, maybe animals, you just don't know. But the guys that have done this, they are in the wrong. They shouldn't have done that. And unfortunately, the other group, just for the peace, has stepped down and said, just do what you want. And just to keep the peace, which is a very good way to do, because sometimes it gets embroiled in messiness. Even throughout all the communities, the Vikings, the Knights, there's always animosity and issues. I mean, I've seen it. There's other groups throughout the province that hate the groups I'm involved with. I've seen it with the Knights. I've seen it, and you know what, guys? We're all just doing a hobby. At the end of the day, whether you're a Knight, a Viking, whatever, you're doing a hobby. Yeah, it's a damn expensive hobby, which I know is one of the reasons everyone gets really upset, because I do. I may have mentioned this a few times, but I am Scottish, and we do have the reputation for inventing copper wire. And that was made by two men fighting over a penny. But, you know what I mean? It's like, we are really stingy in Scotland, and I live up to that. I mean, I'll throw money away on stupid things. But at the end of the day, I'm also damn stingy. So when I look at my hobby and I look at the amount of money I've invested in it, and that gets put at risk and potentially starts to collapse, yeah, I'm going to get a wee bit annoyed. I'm going to get a wee bit frustrated. So I can understand why these guys get frustrated at stuff. But it's life. And at the end of the day, unless you're going to get buried with that sword, guys, I don't know if you're allowed to anymore, actually. I need to investigate that. That'd be quite cool. Get a proper Viking burial. I've always thought I should be buried at sea. Or is it buried at sea, folks? I mean, here's the thing. If you're getting sent out into the water on a flaming boat or put in a bag and dropped overboard, is it technically buried at sea, or is it sunk at sea? Because to me, it would be sunk at sea. Aye, Callum was sunk at sea in a glorious ceremony. I mean, that's how I feel. Or slightly, I don't know, just, what would the term be when you just gently drift down, drift glide? That's more air, isn't it? But you know that way that when you're in the water and you just gently sink, slowly gliding down, maybe we could romanticize going out and getting dumped. Can you even get dumped in the water anymore? Other than if you swim with the fishies, if you maybe pee off the wrong guys in New York or something. But yeah, I mean, anyway, digressing, moving back. Drama, it's everywhere. Just accept it. Unless, of course, you're actually in a drama society, then of course accept it, because that's the whole thing. That's the whole point of being there, to be or not to be. The whole point of drama societies is drama. Because if you didn't have drama in a drama society, it would just be a society. And I don't know how that would work. I mean, would you just all stand in a room, not looking at each other, just ignoring everything? That would actually be quite a nice society. The society of ignoring and stillness. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I might start that one up, but then it'll probably be drama. Someone will probably think that the stillness isn't quite right, or the staring away from each other doesn't quite work right. People aren't doing it as intense as they should be. Someone will come in with a crown on and think, I am going to be the king of this society now because I can stand stiller and stare at nothing better than anyone else. And then, of course, when they get power, it's all over. Am I actually making any sense in this episode? Probably not, but let's roll with it. This is one of the catch-up episodes, and as I say, this was supposed to be about beer, but something happened today. Drama kicked off again, and I just felt I needed to get this out of my system before I hulk out. And I don't mean physically. I just mean like I'm so angry inside about this. I really am. I'm not going to go into it because all I'll say is what's happened has just made me so angry. And again, it's power hungry idiots thinking they know better and then just tearing this heart and soul out of something that's really good. And I feel for the people involved. It makes me angry. But drama's there, all the societies that I've met and been with, they always say, I was speaking to someone the other night at an event I was doing, and they said the same thing. And I loved it. So I was like, yeah, so how's that group you're involved with? And he's like, which one? I was like, the group. And he says, well, unfortunately, that group's now 2 groups. And I was like, what? And then he actually went on to say, but that group that's become 2 groups, one of those groups has now become 2 groups. And it was like, this is ridiculous. Eventually, what's going to happen, folks, is a group is going to consist of one person. Because all these societies and groups are just going to fracture and splinter so much that you're going to have like one person. So there's going to be the Vikings of Canyon Meadows, one person. The Vikings of Heritage Trail, one person. Just to use examples, the Knights of Downtown. How many are there? One. None shall pass. But yeah, so it's going to happen, guys. It's just getting crazy out there. These groups, they're amazing to be a part of. But if you are thinking of joining one, just be prepared for drama. Unfortunately, it's out there. And sadly, it's usually idiots that are causing it. I potentially could be one of those idiots. I don't know. I don't think so. I create a different type of drama, usually in my head, and then I speak to trusted people about it to rant it out. That's how I usually deal with drama. I basically rant it out at somebody who just looks at me like, oh my God, just get it off your chest. Get it off your chest, Callum. Let it go. But yep, drama everywhere. Why all the drama? It's a fact of life, folks. You're going to find it in all walks of life, in all situations, not just these societies. But here is your warning. Great fun, but you're going to encounter it. I think every Knight society, the SCA, the Vikings, the Knights, it's throughout them all. I call the Knights because there's so many generic names, and Vikings, there's so many different group names out there and generic names. And I'm not just talking about the society I'm involved with. I'm talking about the other ones everywhere. There is drama when it comes to these groups, and I don't know why. I do not know why so much drama is there. I know. I feed on the drama. I love it. I revel it. I'll be honest, it fuels my soul. My mundane and boring existence. It gives me something to cling on to. But it's not fun. I think I'm probably going to have a heart attack in the next 5 years. Don't tell my fiancée that. She's told me I need to live longer than that. But, this drama, it makes me angry. I need to let go of it. I need to let go of my Scottish hate. This Scottish angst in me. But yeah, that's life. That's how it goes, folks. Drama. I actually have no idea what I've just said or what this episode's about, other than drama. So this is a huge rant, and it looks like about 18 to 20 minutes of ranting on it. So I hope that entertained most of you. You know what? I think you deserve a story. So what story to tell? A story about drama? Who knows? Well, you know what? Let's try this one. It'll do for today, I think. It's not a bad wee tale. And it's called The Two Champions. There were 2 kingdoms that shared their common border. In one country, they worshipped the sun. In the other, they worshipped the moon. Because of their religious differences, the 2 kingdoms went to war. Each gathered an army, and the 2 armies met at the frontier. Row upon row of warriors, sunlight glinting on their war gear, faced each other across the no man's land. Now, it was agreed that each army should send forward a champion to fight in single combat. The strongest, most skillful warrior in each army was selected. The two men advanced towards each other, grim face, sword in one hand and shield in the other. On the chest of one, emblazoned the image of the sun, on the other, the moon. When they met, they fought like demons. They fought all morning long as the sun rose higher in the sky. They fought throughout the midday heat when the sun was at its zenith. They fought on and on as the sun descended towards the west. They were both such strong and skillful fighters that neither could gain the advantage. They were still fighting nose to nose, locked in each other's arms when the last of the sun went down. But by then, they were exhausted. They both collapsed on the ground, too feeble even to crawl back to the camps. One looks at the other. I hate you. The response the same, coming from the other warrior. I have to kill you, said the champion of the sun. Back home I have a wife who loves me and a little boy who wants to be a warrior like me. I have to protect them from the likes of you. I had a wife, said the champion of the moon. Your people killed her in the last war. That's why I have to kill you. The moon rose. Presently the champions of the sun asked the other man, what was she like, your wife? She was lovely. We'd been sweethearts since we were children. I used to play with her in the woods near here. Sounds like you had a happy childhood, said the champion of the sun. Not like mine. My father made us work all day in the fields and he'd beat us if we complained. The champion of the moon was sorry to hear this. And so they talked about their childhoods and other things that they'd done in their lives. They talked and talked as the moon rose higher in the sky. Still, they talked as the moon descended towards the west. Only for the last hour or two of the night did they sleep. Side by side they lay, their swords and shields dumped beside them. The sky turned grey, then pink in the east. The sounds and smells of those making breakfast in the camp filled the air. The two sleeping champions were woken by the warmth of sunshine on their faces. Wearily, painfully, they creaked to their feet. They looked into each other's eyes. Then they embraced, and leaving their swords and shields behind, walked back to their respective armies. They could not fight each other any more, for you cannot fight someone when you know their story. That's a very nice little story. It's again coming from the book of wisdom tales that I've spoken about a few times. And I like these stories because, they're quite poignant and simple. And that one says a lot. This episode's about drama. But sometimes we don't need that drama. If we'd maybe just get to know each other, we might all be okay. We'll move on to our book recommendation. And the book that I'm going to recommend today is, I think I mentioned something about this in one of my previous episodes, but this is called The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. It's a national best-selling author, Julia Cameron, with the foreword by Natalie Goldberg, author of Writing Down the Bones and The Great Spring. Now, what I like about this book is I've only read sections of it, but this is the book that kind of gives you a wee bit more about the artist's sort of lifestyle and how to develop ways of coping with certain issues like drama. But this is the one, remember I mentioned in one of my previous episodes about every day you're supposed to sit down and write a couple of pages just off the top of your head. It's not even for a book. It's just literally getting stuff off your head a wee bit. And this is that book that has that kind of process. And I really think all these people that are involved in these societies, before they do anything, should actually take this advice. Every morning, get up and just write nonsense. Even if it's, I'm going to cut you in half with my sword, I'm going to cleave you with my sword, I'm going to poke you with my spear, I'm going to pew you with my arrows. I think there are official sound effects for all weapons. I don't know if you knew that, guys. We'll cover that maybe another time. Pew pew, thunk thunk, swoosh swoosh. Maybe I just made them up. But yeah, this is a great book. It covers a lot of topics. Let me just flick to, excuse me. Flick to the main page. I am singing. Yeah, so here we are. Basically, recovering of sense and safety, recovering of sense of identity, recovering of sense of power. And all these have subheadings, shadow artist, the enemy within, core negative beliefs, your ally within, affirmative weapons, creative affirmations, tasks, and check-in. Because it's like a workbook as well. Each section has little tasks that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to work your way through this to help you develop and overcome certain things. It's a little bit spiritual. It's a little bit fun, but there are some great wee bits from it, and that's why I picked it up, because there's just some little gems in there that are really useful. So, my book recommendation for this episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast is The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron. And I've actually picked up the 25th anniversary edition. This book has been around for a long time, and I hope it sticks around forever. It guides the reader through a fascinating and fun 12-week-long programme of exercises and explorations that help loosen up one's artistic self. It takes you on a journey that will cost you nothing. Well, costs you $23 in Canada. Where was it? It'll cost you nothing. Oh, gosh. Aside from the guidebook. Oh, they actually say that. Okay, I jumped in there. I'm so sorry. Julia, I'm so sorry for my cheek. And it brings much insight, gently helping you see what is holding you back and showing you how to move forward. So that's only half of the write-up in the back, but I really think this is a great book for anyone who's in the arts, or anyone just trying to kind of find a bit more balance in their life when it comes to drama, because I think there's something in here for everyone. So that is The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron. My book recommendation for this episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. And of course, following up our book recommendation, we have our podcast recommendation. Now, we are part of the Alberta Podcast Network. The Bothy Storytelling Podcast is a proud member of that. And as I've said, every episode, there's a wealth of podcasts out there and new members joining all the time. Now, the podcast that I'm going to recommend for this episode, well, we're talking about drama, everywhere. And of course, what causes bigger drama than politics? So under the politics section of the Alberta Podcast Network, you will find the Dave Berta podcast. And that's Dave Cournoyer. I have no idea how to pronounce your surname, Dave. And Ryan Hassman. And they talk politics, policy and events from an Edmontonian, Albertan and Canadian perspective. So that is the Dave Berta podcast with Dave Cournoyer? Cournoyer? I am not even sure how to pronounce that. Dave, forgive me. And Ryan Hassman talking politics, policy and events from an Edmontonian, Albertan and Canadian perspective. And that is my recommendation for the podcast, the Dave Berta podcast, and that is this episode's recommendation for the Alberta Podcast Network through the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. And that's it, ladies and gents, another episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. And what an episode it's been, because if someone could explain what it's about, I would really appreciate that. This has been a complete ramble. This has been a ramble brought about from waking up this morning with a plethora of emails and texts and messages and just seeing what's going on out there due to society dramas in various groups and from previous conversations. So this is a very spontaneous, unplanned episode. It is not the one that I was going to put out, but sometimes I'm going to use this medium to rant. And I think I ranted today. I tried to keep it clean. I didn't mention names, I didn't mention specifics, I kept it clean, folks. But this is officially a ranting episode about drama, and the drama that people cause with hobbies, which is unnecessary. And I am a culprit of that as well. I'm not going to not put my hands up and say I am guilty of this as well. But I hope you have enjoyed this rant. If you have anything to say about it, please get in touch. calumlykanspokenword at gmail.com. CALUMLYK Alpha November spoken word calumlykanspokenword@gmail.com, or head over to calumlykansstudio on Facebook and drop us a message. But please do get in touch if you're enjoying the shows. Let me know what you'd like to hear on the shows. Would you just want a whole hour of me not talking and telling stories instead? Me not rambling, because I quite like my rambles, but I'd be happy to do that. I may just do that anyway for fun. But folks, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. I look forward to talking to you all soon.